Yo, you guys, what's up? This is your girl Dragon, and it's time for another TCB live help tutorial. Today, this tutorial is going to be going over how to create a pregame with an AFK room. Now, this tutorial is inspired by one of our community members who's new to the community, so welcome, welcome, welcome. And let me just get to the room here, and I can tell you guys what we're building today. So this request comes from Top Goon, who's looking to build a pregame and have practically a designation, so when players pick a team, they go to one destination, and then when players are AFK, they also go to another destination or wherever they would like them to go. Now, they were having issues with spawning, so this tutorial will show you an example of how to streamline this type of process so that you would have less issues with spawning. And I'm quite sure you guys can find all amazing types of ways to use this particular setup. And hopefully it helps you in your creative journey. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first, you see here I have my lobby, and just to give you guys an idea of how the system is working, players are spawned in on a global team. Players have a certain amount of time to choose a team, and the players who do choose a team are automatically teleported to their team-based areas. As you can see here, I have Team 1 and Team 2. However, there might be some players who don't choose in enough time. Those players have to be designated to AFK. They're not currently present, and you still want them to stay in the game. So what we're going to do here is just teleport them somewhere else where they can wait until the next round. And when their round starts over again, they're going to go ahead and start right again here in this lobby and get a chance to pick a team again. Now, keep in mind this tutorial will not include game win conditions, so be sure to include that if you're going to be using this particular setup. Keep in mind this setup will require that you use manual game win conditions because we are using a global team as well as an AFK team. So you want to make sure that when it comes time for either team to win, that the proper team is assigned their victory. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and jump into running just a quick test. Again, this is I'm just doing a test with one player, and this is event binding using PS5. So this is also compatible with UEFN. Since we're using event binding, you can use it for both systems. You'll be good. But let's go ahead and run a quick test so you guys can kind of see what's going on, and then we can jump into the settings. Right away, players are started on a global team, and they have 30 seconds to choose a team. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Team 1, and I'm now on Team 1. When players spawn in, they're automatically assigned to a checkpoint pad, and this is their area to do whatever you want them to do. If a player is eliminated on Team 1, they will respawn back on their base, like so. All right, and the same goes for Team 2. You see the timer has ended, and players are still in this area and can play. Now let's see what happens if a player does not choose a team. All right, so let's go ahead and rerun that test. So I'm going to be an AFK player. I'm not going to choose a team. I'm going to be doing whatever I want. Yay, default. All right, so now I'm AFK, right? And I have to wait until the next round before I am teleported and I can start again. So basically when the round ends, I'm going to start back over there and I could just start the process all over again. So I think if you're going to have like an AFK room, have a timer up here so they can just keep track of the round, especially if you're doing manual rounds. And they can keep track of the round and they can decide what they want to do. Be sure to put some matchmaking portals here in case they get, you know, bored, they want to try something new, and so forth. All right, and so forth. So that's the AFK room. And then let's go ahead and test team 2. Alright, so now I'm going to choose team 2. And I am now team 2. And if I'm eliminated, I should respawn back on team 2's side. Back in my base, right? So this would be like really great for like a red versus blue, but then you have some AFK players that you want to just send them to a room in case they come back, they can just go into a different game, or anything else you would like to assign there. So that is really cool and a very versatile setup. Now that you see how this is working, let me go ahead and show you guys the settings. So we're going to first start with island settings and go into that. And this is pretty important when setting up this type of game mode. Once this live is done, you can pause to keep up. Now for this particular tutorial, we have a max players of 10 and we have 4 teams. That is because we have team 1 and team 2, which are our main teams. We have team 3, which is our global team, and team 4, which is our AFK teams. We have a team size of dynamic, and of course you can set your total rounds here. If you are doing like manual rounds or something like that, you can just make sure you choose the amount you want. Right? If you're doing manual rounds, then you basically want to do a total rounds of 1, and then you're going to set your round timer to none, and that will give you the opportunity to establish as many rounds as you want by using a tracker device and so forth, right? But if you don't want to do that, you can also just set as many rounds as you want. All right, so that's that. And then another thing that's important is to ensure that your default class is set to your global class. And for this tutorial, we're using class 3. Again, everything from here on is personal preference, so be sure to experiment. So looking at end conditions, as I stated, since we're using a global team, it is important that you establish your own game win conditions. So you'll be making sure that these particular settings do not reflect any type of round end condition. And you can find that under round and go to victory condition and make sure round 1 condition is set to none. All right, and you'll be good to go and ready to set your manual game win conditions. All right, now let's go into the things that you need. We're going to need player spawn pads. We're going to need class designers, class selectors, as well as team settings and inventory devices. I have a set here for global, a set here for my AFK team. I have a set here for team 1 and a set here for team 2. In addition to that, in my main player spawner pads, I have a channel spawn or channel device, which I've named channel spawn events. And then you're going to need player checkpoint pad, one for each team, a teleporter, one for each team, and let's not forget your main lobby timer. Almost forgot that one. And you're going to need 2 Mutator Zones, and I have one here. This is just to ensure that they're on the AFK team. If you're going to be working with join in progress, I recommend that players join this room first. So you may want to put like gameplay spawn pads in this area, set to no island. Let's see here, no island start, I believe. So say no to use an island start. Make sure it says no, right? And just put gameplay only. And set it for join in progress. Also make sure that respawn players, there's a setting here for that. Respawn alive players for join in progress is off, okay? That way that players, when they spawn into the game while it's in progress, if that's what you're doing, then you will do that here. But and that way when they spawn in, they will be on the AFK team, and they'll have to wait until the next round so that they don't disturb what's going on over there. All right, now that you know everything you need, and I'm sorry, a teleporter, an AFK teleporter. Gotta make sure I do that as well. Now that you know everything that you need, let's go ahead and jump into the settings. So we're gonna first start with team setups. Okay, so let's start with a global team. And here you see that players are changed to player, team, and class when received from the channel spawn events device on receive transmit. And there's no events. The class designer, which configures the global team, is pretty simple. I just have the class identifier set to 3 and the name of the class. And since this is a tutorial, I did not configure any of these settings. However, you can feel free to do so if you like. All right, and then let's check out team settings and inventory. Again, naming the team, assigning the team number, assigning the team class. And everything is default. Didn't change any of these settings here. No functions, no events. Now let's look at the AFK. AFK will be going to class 4 and team 4. And of course, this is also connected to this actually, let me update that because that shouldn't be there. Let's remove that. So it should not be switching. It should be switching on Mutator Zone. All right. And that's both Mutator Zones, one in the main lobby and one in the AFK room. And I possibly named those the same. Yeah, I did name those the same. So let's just name this one 2, just so there's some type of distinction. All right, so we should see a distinction here. And possibly it just doesn't slide all the way over. To ensure that that is the one, I'm going to go ahead and remove it and ensure that it is linking to the device for AFK number 2. Yeah, it looks like it just doesn't slide all the way over. All right, cool. I just wanted to ensure. And then class designer. Again, it should be a class of 4, and class name is AFK. And everything else is default and so forth, right? And then for team settings and inventory, the main things is the team name, which is AFK, and the team number, team 4, and class 4. And you can set everything else however you want for the AFK class, right? I'm going to go ahead and rename this AFK. Let's see here. Again, this is a live tutorial, so I just set this up there. All right, so there we go. Now everything is in line. Cool. Next, let's check out these players, these class designers, this set for team 1 and team 2. So for team 1, we're going to switch to class 1 and team of 1. And when the team is switched, we're going to teleport to teleporter team 1 and teleport. For configurations, we're going to have a class identifier of 1, class name of team 1. Again, everything else is up to you, so we won't go over that. Everything's just don't override on the default settings. And there's no functions, no events. And then for team settings and inventory for team 1, team name team 1 with a class of 1. And default, no functions, no events. All right, and then for team 2, we got a class of 2 and a team of 2. No functions, and when the team is switched, we're going to teleport to team 2, teleporter, and we're going to teleport. All right, let's check out the class designer, class identifier of 2, class name team 2. And it's so very important to make sure everything is synced up correctly. You have the right class and the right team being assigned and configured in your devices. Okay, let's see. Let's go to team settings and inventory for team 2. Again, you see team name of team 2 and class 2. All right, and again, everything else here is default. You can make those updates if you like. If you want something special for the team, right? All right, so that way when a player runs in here, they're switched to team 2 and class 2. Or if a player runs in here, they're switched to team 1 and class 1. Now, the very important thing is when players spawn into the game, they need to be assigned to global. And the way I'm doing that is when they spawn in, there's an event sent to the channel device, and that event is going to cause all the players who spawn in to be switched to global. So let's take a look at the spawning pads. And if you guys do watch my tutorials a lot, you'll see that I always have one designated to team of 1. This is if I wanted to call special events and so forth. So let's take a look here. This is enabled always, player team of 1 for the main pad, and use as island start. And this should be no for respawn alive players. However, if you want another option for join in progress, if you don't want join in progress to start in the AFK room, they can still start here, right? And then since the Mutator Zone will be on anyways, they'll be teleported to the AFK room. So you have that option of what you want to do, and you can explore that, right? And then let's see here. On events, on player spawn, we're going to send an event to the channel spawn events to transmit, right? All the other paths, the major difference is instead of team 1, it's set to player team of any. And that is the only difference, right? You see that? And then for functions, you're going to see on player spawn, send an event to channel spawn events to transmit. And that's for each and every one, right? And then for channel spawn events, which is the channel device, everything should be binded here to all of your player spawn pads in your pregame lobby. And then on events, on receive transmit, it should also bind to the class selector global to change player to team, and class, again, changing them to the global team. Next is the timer. I have this timer set to 30 seconds, and again, this is my pregame lobby timer, and I have it set to a timer name choose a team. All right, and then another thing I have is urgency text. So right when it gets to urgency mode, I have it set to 1 second, but you can set it to however you like. We can put it at 3 seconds. It's going to say assigning AFK players in ... you know, and it'll list the amount of seconds that they have left to choose a team. If they don't choose a team and the timer is successful and it ends, you see we have no functions here. What's going to happen is an event's going to be called, it's going to be sent on success, and it's going to send an event to the Mutator Zone to enable. And that's the Mutator Zone located here in the pregame room, and that's this one right here. So when this enables, it's going to assign a new team and teleport. But you want to ensure that it's not on. So to do that, you want to set enabled on phase to none, and then make sure your zone width and depth and height is equal to your pre-lobby size. All right, and you'll be good to go from here. Everything else I left default. Be sure to set these preferences if you don't want them to build, if you don't want weapon fire, if you don't want the VFX, you want to set these settings off. If you don't want them to jump or anything else, no editing or nothing like that, right? Make sure you set those. And then on functions, it's going to enable when receiving from the timer device on success, and that should already be binded. And then for events, when player entering zone, we have two things going on here. We're going to change them to the AFK class and team, and then we're going to teleport them to the AFK area. So you can see teleported here, AFK, teleport, and class selector AFK, change player to team and class. That's going to send them way over here, or wherever you like, right? To this teleporter here. And you can see the teleporter settings. Teleporter group is group none. Teleporter target group is none, which is very important. And you don't even have to designate a selected team or a selected class. So you'll be good to go on that by just leaving that default. Your functions should already be binded from your mutator zone, but it's always good to go to your device and double check. So this is correct. I have teleport when receiving from mutator zone on player entering zone. And then it also is set, let's see here. Looks like it's set twice. Making sure it should not be set twice. We just want it set once, right? Because we don't want it to loop or anything. Let's see here. Yeah. So I went ahead and removed that. It should only show once for this zone right here. All right, just making sure that lines up. Yeah, right there. And there's no events unless you want to add some, for example, and just a few ideas. You can add a HUD message device that shows permanently that says, hey, you're AFK, please wait until next round, or choose another game to play, you know, and you can list your games here. Next is the mutator zone in the AFK area. And this is just to switch to team, just to ensure they are on the AFK team. And this is another option in case you have join in progress. If you want players to join in progress in this area instead of this area, then this will switch them to AFK, and they would have to wait until the next round before they can participate. So the settings for this is it's always enabled. And there's no functions. And events, when players enter the zone, they're gonna be switched to the AFK class and team. All right, so we got that part covered. The next part is basically the two bases. We have a base for team 1. We have a base for team 2. And when they choose their teams, and we went over those as well, they're going to be teleported automatically and registered to a checkpoint device. So let's go ahead and look at these. This is the teleporter for team 1. And you can see it's right on top of the checkpoint pad. And these are the settings. So I have kind of like a fail-safe going on here. When the player is teleported, they're going to be registered to the checkpoint pad. However, when they land here, they're also going to step on it, which will register them to this pad. That's a fail-safe. You can also do it this way. You can move the pad, so when they teleport here, they'll register, and then they could teleport or respawn anywhere else you want them to respawn. It's a great alternative than using player spawner pads, because sometimes player spawner pads can be a little bit buggy. For an instance, if you're trying to enable and disable them and you're realizing players are just spawning everywhere, it just has a history of being buggy. So this is another option if you need players to respawn after being eliminated. Now let's check out player in Team 2. And then you want to make sure it's teleport when receiving from Class Selector Team 2 on Teams Switched. And then on teleported, register them to their checkpoint pad, and so forth. So that's is everything. And again, I'll go ahead and run another test. What we're going to do here is a quick save. And run it through again. Right, players start on global team. And I am on team 1. I get eliminated. I start back here on my base. I get eliminated again. I start back on my base. Next is AFK. So this is for players who don't choose a team, they don't do anything. All right, and then they can go to that AFK room. Right now they're AFK, and you can have, you know, maybe you might have accolades in here for time spent. You might have a little parkour for them to do, something really to keep them entertained in case they come back, or just a timer that says please wait until the next round, and give them some options to play something else. All great options for an AFK room. In addition, you could put a glass over the entire, you know, game and just have them, you know, watch from above. I've seen a lot of creators do that as well. But that's just the gist of it. Before I do leave you guys with this tutorial, I do have to say, if you're still having issues with players just spawning everywhere, if you are using barriers, that might be your issue. If you have barriers on your lobby and players are spawning in with player spawn pads, in Fortnite 1.0, you want to ensure that, and let's go ahead and go to a barrier, right? You want to ensure that you're not using or you're not doing this, right? So let's go ahead, and this is what a lot of creators do, and it's okay. It definitely happens. You go to hollow box and you increase that box. And again, this happens randomly. It doesn't happen for everyone, but sometimes it happens, and a player would spawn in this type of hollow box, and for some reason the spawn pads don't take the transmission. The event doesn't happen and they end up spawning in the air. To prevent this, right, to prevent, you know, spawning in a hollow box, those types of issues, what you want to do is go ahead and let's make this back to box, and let's see, we're gonna do like see where we're at here. I'm just gonna make walls, like walls to a room, right? And that's how we're going to be able to better face those issues. All right, so kind of like that, you see? And then we're just going to take that and turn it around. And barrier up our area just like this, right? And you'll have to do the same for, like, if you are let me make the height just a little bit, it's kind of high there. Let's see, probably 4. Yeah, 3 is fine. Right, and then you'll have to do the same for the top, right? So the top, you'll see, like that, and just kind of like close it off. And so forth, and then of course you'll put them on the other sides. So, and by the other sides I mean like this, but I'm using glass for this side, so that would work as my barriers. But that's kind of how you would want to do it, right? You'll box them in. Instead of using a hollow box, you'll use barriers like walls to a room, and that would help with those spawning issues if you're having them by using a hollow box. What's interesting is in UEFN, those issues aren't as prevalent as they are compared to Fortnite 1.0. In fact, you could use a hollow box, I've found, in UEFN, as long as it's high enough and it's big enough, because in UEFN you can make it any size you want, and it won't disturb the spawning of the players when using spawn pads. However, in Fortnite 1.0 we do have those limitations, and we learned how to work around those limitations, so this would be the best way to do it if you're using a hollow box around your lobby. Just make sure you just take away that hollow box and make walls to a room, and you'll be good to go. Alright, that's going to conclude the tutorial and that long-winded explanation as to how to fix those spawning issues. I do hope you guys find this tutorial helpful, and if you do, please be sure to like and sub and share with your friends, because when we share knowledge, it helps everybody. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next one, and if you got any questions, drop them in the creative block. I'll see you guys there. Bye!